number system and a calendar of the earliest known Mexican civilization, the Olmecs. So the Olmecs influenced almost everyone in the area, from the Zapotecs to the Totonacs and the Aztecs and Mayans, among others.
Where were people the last 2 months without our... wait, how long has it been? A month? Yeah, a month. Without our excellent pronunciation.
It's been more than a month.
I don't know.
Anyway. But the Mayans also displayed more advanced cultural traits that set them apart. So they had the pyramid building, city constructing, and inscribing in stone monuments very early on. According to History.com, the late pre-classic city of Mirador. Mirador.
Sounds like a Lord of the Rings city.
I was just going to say that. It does. It was one of the greatest pre-Columbian cities ever built. Its massive size dwarfed the eventual Mayan capital of Tikal during the classical period, and it shows that Maya flourished centuries before the classic period. The classic period in Mesoamerica was about 250 to 900 Common Era, so if you were wondering. It's considered the peak of art, science, agriculture, and urbanism in Mesoamerica. So I'll talk a little bit about the classic period. Should not come as a surprise with the golden age of the Mayans. Classic Maya civilization grew some 40 cities, and it include Tikal, a couple other ones.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Oh.
Where did these words come from?
I don't know how to say this one.
Has that ever stopped you before?
Yeah, let's say, when does that ever stop you?
Waktoon. That cannot be right. Copan, Bonampak, Dos Pilas, Calukmul. I mean, just a bunch of cities. Each city had a population between 5,000 and 50,000 people. At its peak, the Mayan population may have reached up to 2 million, historians believe. The cities that have been excavated have revealed large plazas, courts that were used to play the ancient game of ulama.
What's ulama?
One second. They found palaces, temples, and pyramids. These cities were typically laid out in the center, with large expanses of farmers surrounding and supporting the city, providing it with food. So these farmers typically used very primitive methods like slash and burn farming, but in some cases, archaeologists found evidence of irrigation and even terracing being used. So they were pretty advanced. By the game, the game I mentioned called Ulama,
I predict
has nothing to do with
after
llamas.
we're done, you guys are going to be out in the driveway playing this.
Ulamog?
Ulama.
Oh no!
Wait, what's Ulamog?
Ulama.
Ulamog. That's a magic card. That's the magic card I destroy you with. So, Ulama, according to ancientorigins.net, is considered to... Billy's still laughing.
Oh, that was stupid.
Yep. So, it's considered the oldest known team sport in the world, and it was played almost a millennium before the Olympic Games. It was primarily played in Olmec, Mayan, and Aztec cultures, and was a very dangerous game. Many players would
like that dice game you guys used to play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Many players would commonly... We won't talk about that. Many players would commonly exit games bloodied or bruised after...
Once again.
Again, we're not going to talk about that. After diving onto stone courts to keep a ball into play. Or after getting hit by a heavy ball. It would even cause internal bleeding and death in some cases. Again, Jeff. Unfortunately, the exact rules of the game are relatively unknown.
I think we know what they are.
All we have are speculation. We have to go off interpretations from art, sculptures, and the courts themselves.
And the studying of the skeletons of the Mayans.
Okay, do you want to talk about the game?
No.
Because you all seem like you want to talk about the game.
No, it's just you brought up a funny thing.
Yeah.
It was a game that Don and I and our friends played when we were younger, where we would take...
There's just a bunch of nut shots.
It's basically all it was throwing objects at each other's nuts.
Our buddy thought he was bleeding.
A couple of times.
couple times. So what we do know of the game, there was probably a passing aspect to it. Many believe a rubber ball had to be hit past a certain line. One of the several amazing things about the Mayan civilization was their ability to flourish in a tropical... Oh, I should have segued into that better. That's completely separate from the game. This is what happens. So, moving on. One of the several amazing things about Mayan civilization is their ability to flourish in the tropical rainforest climate. Many early civilizations were built up in dry climates, utilizing trade routes and irrigation to grow crops. Mayans had very few navigable rivers and thus had very little opportunity for reliable trade. So this was a big issue and probably led to their downfall, actually. Mayans were very religious, and they built many of their temples and palaces in a stepped pyramid shape. So these structures were often considered, or they were often covered in elaborate inscriptions, and are part of the reasons Mayan got a reputation as being great artists early on in Mesoamerica. Their religion contained many gods of nature, such as sun and moon gods, rain and corn, and so on. So with Mayan society, the top of their society consisted of like holy lords, which were called Kahul Ajah.
That was probably how is that the closest thing you've gotten pronounced correctly?
How would you know?
That's true. That sounds good. Congratulations.
You know what? I could have just spelled it how it's supposed to sound. I probably didn't type it how it was.
That's what you should just do from now on. Just write it down how you think or how it should be.
Or I should just grab the pronunciations offline.
The
Yeah.
phonetic spelling.
Right, yeah.
Those don't make any sense.
I'm
down E's and stuff.
I'm actually pretty good with those, usually. Oh. Anyway, so the holy lords were kind of like kings, and they claimed to be related to the gods. They served as mediators between gods and people, and they usually performed elaborate religious ceremonies and rituals. So that was like the top of the hierarchy. So they were very, very religion-centric. The mysterious fall of the Mayans, we'll talk about a little bit. From the late 8th century to the end of the 9th, many large Mayan cities went from steady decline to completely abandoned in just 100 years, by 900 AD. By 900, the Mayan civilization was completely wiped off the planet. So pretty strange. It's one of the great mysteries. Though the reason for their fall is unknown, there are a few common theories.
Oh, here we go.
By historians. So I'll give you those theories. And
are any of them aliens?
Unfortunately, no. These are all very commonsensical.
Okay, that's fortunately.
But now that we know the aliens do exist, because you've seen the films, right?
Yeah.
I think they need to go back and check the record.
We do need to double check. I mean, it could have been aliens. They don't know.
Where's Alex?
Yeah. Aliens. All right, so by the 9th century, the Mayans, here's one. The Mayans had exhausted their natural resources to the point they couldn't sustain such a large population. As I mentioned earlier, they did not have access to trade routes at the time, so they would not have been able to get resources they didn't just have on their land. Other historians believe it was an issue with warring. They believe that constant wars between Mayans and other city-states led them to a place of chaos that caused them to fall, much like other dynasties. The other common thought is that an environmental occurrence wiped them out. We talked earlier about how their climate was much different from almost all other large early civilizations, where many places had fresh water available and pulled from those sources utilizing irrigation systems. The Mayans didn't need them that much because they didn't need that infrastructure because they were in a rainforest climate. So they just had it. Like, it rained all the time. So this theory suggests that there was an extended drought or multiple extended droughts that caused the Mayans to just die off from just lack of food, basically. Droughts would have hit cities like their capital of Tikal especially hard because they did not only need rainwater for their crops, but also for drinking. They had no freshwater sources near them at all. An extended drought would have been catastrophic for many of the large Classic era Mayan cities. So could have been one, could have been a combination of all those things. We do know all of those things were to be true. We just don't really know what truly. It could have been the alien. It's probably the aliens.
Maybe the aliens caused the droughts.
Oh, two-tiered.
Yeah, there you go. So while very few Mayan cities survived past 900 AD, just a few did for quite some time. So I took this from History.com. In the highlands of the Yucatan, a few Maya cities such as Chichen Itza, Uxmal. How do you say X? Uxmal. Is it just Uxmal? I don't know. And
do you think my many years of Mayan studies will tell you how to pronounce that?
Mayapan continued to flourish. So 3 cities in the post-classic period, so between 900 and 1500 AD. By the time the Spanish invaders arrived, however, most Maya were living in just little agricultural villages, and their great cities were buried under layers of rainforest.
I think I say lame forest.
Lame forest.
That was after the drought. They were very lame.
Yeah. So speaking of Chichen Itza, I'll talk a little bit about that, and then
I can't wait. I've been to
we'll be
Chichen
done.
Itza.
Have you?
Chicken pizza, yeah.
Chicken pizza?
Actually,
I thought that too. I'm like, he's not like saying chicken pizza.
yeah, that's all of us gringos that were down there. That's
Nice.
what we would call it.
Chicken pizza. All right.
I'll let you talk. Unlike Billy, I'm gonna let you talk, and then I'll
You'll
I'll do the
interject.
spoiler.
Yeah. So, Chicken Pizza, the city was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988. And it's on the list of 7 new wonders of the world. So, Chichen Itza, unlike many other cities, had a water source other than the sky. It had natural wells formed by sinkholes in limestone formations. The local tribe that settled there were the Mayan Itza tribe. Chi means mouths, and Chen means wells. So, like mouths, wells. I don't know. Chichen was founded around the 6th century AD, though probably not originally by the Itza tribe.
I think chicken was around a lot longer than that.
Cluck, cluck. They likely arrived 200 to 300 years later. Before their arrival, the city had a few basic structures, but the invaders who overtook the area are believed to be the Itza, were responsible for building the most famous structure of the city, which is El Castillo, or the castle. It was a large pyramid standing 79 feet above the main city plaza. Each side of the pyramid faced a cardinal direction and contained 91 stairs. These combine for how many steps? Well, I'll tell you, because you're really bad at math, as we learned earlier. 365.
Boom!
So, cardinal directions, and
By
there
the
were
way,
365.
365 does not divide by 4.
It does not.
There was an extra one on the top.
On one side only?
Yeah.
The
top.
very peak, okay.
Yeah, there were 91 on each side, and then one on top.
Yeah, that wasn't a step, by the way. I've been to the top of that tower.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was...
Do
you have much more to say?
A little bit.
Okay, I'll get to it. We'll save that.
So we'll talk about a little bit. During the spring and autumnal equinoxes, shadows cast by the setting sun give the appearance of a snake undulating down the stairways. A carving of a plumed serpent at the top of the pyramid is symbolic of Quetzalcoatl, known to the Maya as Kukulkan, I guess. One of the major deities of the ancient Mesoamerican pantheon. Excavations within the 9-platform pyramid revealed another earlier structure containing a red jaguar throne studded with jade. So Chichen Itza also contained the largest ever discovered of the roughly 1,300 Mesoamerican ulama ball courts. Remember that sport we were talking about? Mm-hmm. This court measured 96.5 meters long by 30 meters wide. So in feet, that's like 315 feet by 98.
It's like a big football field.
Yeah, really big. For comparison, The ceremonial court in Tikal, the capital, was just 16 feet by 5, so this was just worlds bigger.